can be the difference between the worst day of your life or wedding of your dreams. They're precious. The planner is known for designing events that look and feel like fairy tales. When I was at school, a career advisor told me that I could never become a secretary or anything like that. It's not the way my mind works. I don't have that kind of organizational skill. You've got to be organized and methodical in the way that you work, which would make a very good events planner, something I don't think I'd be able to conquer. But you have Precious, and you've got Precious Celebrations, your very successful company. Tell us how you became one.
I became an event planner, I'm not going to say by chance. Yeah. But it's something I really fell in love with years ago, something I've admired by the positions I held in different companies. So people that used to do what I do now, I was so interested.
What was it about it that you liked?
I think it was just it looked so adventurous, it looked busy. The kind of people that used to walk into the office that handled events, my first job, you'd have the Miss South Africas walk in, golfers that used to play in the Nedbank Golf Challenge, and I was just like, what is going on in there? I want to be there. And I was curious enough and inquisitive enough to actually tell my then boss as a receptionist that I don't think I can stay here for long. Can you get me to work in that department? Because you management, if you know there's a position, please put a word in for me, and the rest is history.
That's such an important lesson, isn't it? If you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah. And that's just how I actually, with my corporate experience, I, as they say, climbed the ladder like that. If I was getting bored, instead of resigning and looking for another job, I'd be very open with my boss and say, I need a new challenge.
And what's the time frame, or does it differ per event? So if somebody
in terms
says...
of planning?
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. So I mostly specialize in luxury weddings. So to plan a wedding, anything less than a year is a bit tight. So from a year, so 12 months before is a good time to start planning a wedding. But for smaller celebrations or a corporate events, anything from a 6 months lead time or 3 months, some last minute, 2 weeks or in a week, it depends what it is. But for weddings, I do prefer a longer lead time.
Tell us what you do in that year.
The first thing is, because most beautiful wedding venues all over South Africa or around the world, they get booked up a year in advance. So if you start late, you're going to have not the best of venues as your option. So the first thing is to find that perfect place that you want to actually host your event or your wedding. So doing it a year in advance, it gives you the leeway to plan properly, design your event or wedding based on the space that you've booked already. Because if you design it and you haven't seen the space, then it doesn't actually work, because you might have to now make plan Bs or change a lot of things. But if you start with the venue first, it eliminates those mistakes you could make, because the space doesn't work with your ideas or what your vision is. So before that, even the best photographers and videographers get booked up a year, some even more than a year in advance. So the same as me. So I get booked up also more than a year in advance as well. So those three elements are quite important. If you've got that tied on, then the rest is it's a breeze.
Can you tell us what the most expensive wedding is that you've ever done?
Around 5 million. Yes.
If you had advice for somebody who wanted to get into it and be good at it, how do they do that?
I think the best advice I would give is to study first, because a lot of people think it's just making things pretty, but there's a lot that goes into it. To make sure really nothing goes wrong, and that's always my target, to make sure nothing really goes wrong and everything is perfect.
Study what sort of thing?
So project management, event management. So whether you want to specialize in events or weddings, private clients, corporate clients, you can study public relations, you can study marketing or communication. So all of those skills that I've had from working for other corporates, I'm using it now as an entrepreneur in my own business. So also don't rush being your own boss. Don't rush being self-employed. It's not easy. You actually work 10 times harder as self-employed than you would as an employee.
And I should imagine you've got to keep researching and finding what's out there and getting new ideas and balancing the financial side of the brain with your creative side.
Exactly. And also being self-employed as well. You when you start, you basically do everything, and along the way, like after that 5-year mark, you realize actually I can't be the accountant, I can't be the marketing person, I can't be the CEO. So you have to see what you're actually very good at, and the rest give it to someone else, because the minute business starts growing and you're trying to do everything, you can find yourself in a very difficult situation and either lose clients or give up because now it's too much. So you need to be quite vigilant about that, because you can miss it, and then that's when people close down.